So one of the things I'm wanting to do this year, one of my goals this year, is to do a series on doing book clubs. My first video was about reader diversity in a book club, so make sure and go check that out if you haven't already. This one is the one I really actually have been wanting to do for a long time, and I decided to save it for this year when my book club is celebrating its 20th anniversary. 20 years ago in May, in 2004, is when I started running this book club. So I thought it would be fun to share with you what I feel like are 10 key components to making a book club successful and long-lasting like mine has been so far. Back when I was doing blogging, I actually wrote this as a blog post. At that time, our book club was only 7 years old, and I felt like that was a pretty good milestone that I could be like, you know, look how we've made our book club last for so long, and that was at 7 years old, and now we're 20. So I feel like, wow, these things, I'm telling you guys, these things that I've been doing for all these many years really do help make a book club successful, I guess, in whatever way you measure that. But most people would measure it in that people come, that people are excited, that it continues on, and that people are happy with what you're doing, with the books you're reading, with the experience they're having. I got to be honest and say that there are moments during these 20 years where I have wondered about these things, whether people are having fun, whether they're enjoying it, whether they want to keep coming or not. And we have had ups and downs, which you would think is going to be fairly normal in doing something for 20 years. But for the most part, it's been really fun and really constant and consistent. If you're trying to do a book club, you want to add some spark into your book club that you've got going, maybe some of these things will help you. The number one thing on the list that you have to do to start a book club is to find interested people. Interested can be kind of a loaded word. A lot of people think that coming to a book club might be really fun, but are they truly interested? Do they really want to read and discuss a book, or do they just want a social gathering of some kind? So hopefully, if you want to start a book club, you can find people who really and truly are interested. Mine started out with a church group. People in my church, there was a handful of them that thought the idea of a book club would be really great. When we first started, it died down really fast to a core of about 4 people that came from my church group. And so I realized that I needed to start gathering people from other places, and that this wasn't going to be a church group. It was going to be my personal book club, so that I could do whatever I wanted with it and invite anybody I wanted. So church group is a way to start, though. Church people, and in your neighborhood, people around in your neighborhood, people at work, people that you maybe meet in the bookstore or the library, or your mom's group, or people at the park that you talk to, and people at the preschool, your kids' friends' moms, wherever you are talking to or meeting them. And then another thing that worked for me was that shortly after I started my book club is when I started blogging. And as that went along, then I started finding people in my area that were also blogging, because it was really the huge thing back then. I would say things like, oh, I would love to have a book club, and I'm like, should just come to mine. So I started having bloggers that I knew in the area start coming to the book club, and that really sparked it up, because you know that those people who are blogging about books are actually interested in reading and discussing the books. So I think that was a really key thing for my book club to keep going for as long as it has. A lot of people can maybe say that they cap it off, the amount of people in their book club, but I have never really done that. And I think it's great to invite new people over the years. And we've had new people come and go throughout all the years, of course. And we just had like 3 new people join this last year. And it always is fun to see how new people will switch up the feel of the book club. And like I said in my last video, it's really great to have all different kinds of readers. People who are really into books, people who are just starting out reading, people who know everything, people who don't know a lot about the authors or whatever, people who love all the different genres. Some people like nonfiction, some people like fiction, some people like mystery, some people like fantasy. You can mesh all these kind of people together, and it will still work. And it will work better than if you have everybody doing the exact same thing. I promise you, this is the best way, is to have all different kinds of people. And here's number 2. A really key part of making a book club work is to set a day and a time and a place, and stay with that day, time, and place. Do not say, oh, when should we do book club? Every month. Every month, if you say, when should we do book club? Can we do it this day? Can we do it that day? That does not work. You say, okay, book club is on this day of this week, every single month. and it's going to be at this time every single time, and it's going to be at this place every single time. Some people have success with their book clubs if they switch around places, but I decided early on in the beginning that I was just going to say, this is my book club, come to my house. Then nobody wondered when it came time. Nobody wondered, where is book club this week? They just knew it was going to be at my house, and they knew what time it was going to be, and they knew what day it was going to be. So sometimes we do have to change up the day a little bit. If I'm going to be gone, then we usually bump it a week or a day or something. Lately, that's been a little more often than I would like. I think this has been pretty much the biggest reason we have been going for so long. So we started doing our book club on the third Thursday of every month. So then I just named our book club the Third Thursday Book Club. We have since changed it to a Wednesday because a lot of people were having conflicts on Thursday, but we still call ourselves the Third Thursday Book Club because, like I said, it's been a few years, so there's no way we can change it. Anyway, that is, like I said, pretty much the most important thing about getting your book club going. Number 3, another pretty huge thing is to decide what kind of books you're going to read. A lot of book clubs will be only fiction or only nonfiction or only this stuff or only that stuff. So you need to decide together with the people who are going to come to book club what you want to do. For our book club, we have succeeded really well in doing all the genres: YA, middle grade, graphic, adult, nonfiction. We just cover everything, and it's so fun to have this huge, diverse list every year to read. And some people are nervous about certain books, and then most often they will give it a try anyway and find out, well, that wasn't so bad and I actually liked that. Or, it gets people out of their comfort zone, which I think is a really good thing for a book club to do. And a lot of people are like, I would have never read this if it hadn't have been for book club. So many people have said that. And that's what book clubs are for, is to get you reading something that you might normally not read. It's good to have a huge pool of books to pick from and just do everything. Number 4 on this list is decide how to get the books. Back in the day, I was using our library's book club sets. It was such a huge thing. I'm not sure if the library even is doing this anymore, but for a few years, we would figure out our books ahead of time, and I would schedule those book club sets, and I would go and reserve them. And I would have to really figure out when I could pick them up in order to have them for book club, and when I could get them back from people. And it was quite the organizational feat for me as the leader to make sure I could get those book club sets, and I would have to trust everyone to not lose the library books and to give them back to me. It was really fun for a long, long time. We often chose our list depending on what the library book club sets had. So that's kind of why I had this in this list at this time when I wrote this, because at this time and back in the day, I was really doing that. Since then, we have realized that a lot of the books we want to read are not going to be in the library book club sets anymore. We want to read some of the newer stuff. This whole concept of making sure everybody has a book is a little bit different than what it used to be. Now, most people now, we have Libby, and a lot of people are doing audiobooks. So they have Audible or Libby. We make our lists ahead of time for a whole year so everybody can put them on or get on a wait list and get them on hold. Everybody kind of takes care of themselves, and sometimes we'll share books, or if we get one from the library, we'll loan it out, or if we bought it, then we'll loan it out to the people close by that we can give it to. So but we have to all be willing to do that and to share and to let people know, like if they see stuff at the library, hey, this book's at the library, you guys should go get it if you need it, that kind of thing. Number 5, choose specific book titles to read. So this is making up your actual list. The biggest thing in this one is everybody has a say in what book where the book club is reading, that there's not just one person. So like if it's my book club, I could sit down and say, okay, here's all the books I've chosen that I want to read so that everybody can read with me the books I want to read. That would be crazy. I don't know if anybody does a book club like that, but I know it's very common for book clubs, everyone to have a month that they choose the book. And then everybody will read the book that person has chosen. And maybe that person actually leads the discussion or whatever, which I think, works well for a lot of people. For my book club, I will have a video later on a little bit more detail about this process, but we all vote on books, and everybody will suggest a book. I write it down, we vote on them, and whatever books get the highest vote, they end up on the list. And then we just figure out what months we're going to read them, and then everybody can plan ahead for the entire year. It's really worked well for us, and everybody gets so excited when it's time to vote on the next year's list. It's coming up for us in a couple months. And I will, like I said, do another video about that when that gets closer. Number 6 is be organized. So I love to organize this kind of stuff. So this is probably one of the reasons why my book club has lasted for quite a while, because the organization part does not scare me. Keeping track of people, making an email list, making a group. We were on a Goodreads group for a while, then I made a Facebook group. Sometimes I would print up things and stick them on people's doors back in the day. I make sure and remind people when it gets close. Even still now to this day, I remind everybody gets an email and a Facebook invite to an event so that everybody will know, yes, it's happening. Remember, book club is happening. Book club is this week. And I love making lists. And when we do have the voting lists, I love putting together the list for everyone to look at so they can decide what they're going to vote. So it's really fun for me. And so that's another reason, like if you're going to start a book club, you need to be ready to want to organize and keep track of things. Number 7 is talk about the books. This is a big one also, because a lot of people will say that they go to book club and they barely talk about the book, or they don't even talk about the book, and it's just a social gathering. This makes me crazy. And I have been really good over the years, I think, about making sure that we talk about the book for a good part of book club. A lot of times our book club starts getting little fractured conversations, and by the end of it, there's like 4 conversations going on. But that usually happens towards the end. For the most part, we discuss the book for a good 45 minutes to an hour of the time we're at book club. Some books are better than others, of course. That will be a topic of another video. Some books we can go on and talk about forever and ever. Some books we're like, oh, that was great, and then it's kind of done and you don't know what to talk about. But we do talk about the books. And I know that some of the people in my book club will go home and they'll report to their spouses or whatever, their families, about book club. And they were like, so what'd you talk about? And they were like, well, we talked about the book. And the people are like, seriously? You really talked about the book? Like, that's kind of a unique thing to actually talk about the book in book club. It's important to make a book club successful, I think. And then number 8 is food at book club. I just make food be very simple because I don't want to get burned out with it. We were talking about the other day about a book club that we know of where people go all out on the food. And that would be really fun. But since I'm having it at my house every time, I just take care of the food and I make it simple and fun. And this is another part that I love, coming up with something fun to make. I love cooking, I love baking, and I love being kind of creative with food. Sometimes I be more creative than other times. So we always have a treat and some candy or something, and it's very simple, but it's fun. So sometimes I try to tie it in to the book, and sometimes I can't think of anything, so I just make something that I'm in the mood for, that I'm craving. Sometimes I buy something at Costco, sometimes I make it. And at Christmas time, everybody does bring something and we share it, and we have kind of a big spread of treats. And we have gone to a restaurant a couple times, and we've have had a barbecue out in the backyard a couple times. So there are special occasions when we shake it up a little bit, but I don't want to stress people out about having to worry about food. And they always say, hey, if you want help doing food, I can do some. And that's fine if people want to help and do something. But I don't want to like stress people out by like assigning food out to people and having them have something else to worry about. I just want them to come. So that's why that's been my thinking behind it, is just to take care of it. But it's still really fun. It's fun to have food there, and people I know really look forward to it. Number 9, be consistent and persistent. Consistent and persistent. So in the beginning, this book club got off to a pretty rocky start. There were a few people who came the very first time, and then, like I said, they just dropped off. And I don't know why. I don't know what was happening with those people. It was about 2 years worth of wondering if it was going to keep going. So, and then, like I said, I started bringing in some new people slowly, and then it started taking off. So it took me a while. So if you were starting a brand new book club and you're worried about that kind of stuff, just keep going. Just keep saying, every day at this time we're having a book club, and people will come and they will start making it be part of their life, and then it's just how it is. Our book club struggled a little bit during the pandemic shutdown. We did meet by Zoom during that whole time for probably a year, right? I can't remember when we started doing in person again. We did meet outside a couple times also. And I did not like doing Zoom meetings. I am not good with Zoom stuff. it's just not my favorite, that is for sure. So I was very glad when it came time that we could start meeting in person again. And then people had a struggle coming out for like about a year, it feels like, right? I can't remember now. Since we've been meeting in person again, it's been little off and on. We've had times when it's been really sparse and times when it's been a perfectly normal amount of people coming. So I never really know what to expect, even still. I think we're starting to get a groove going again. So hopefully we've ridden that little bit of a storm and we are still on track to keep going for a while longer. But you have to just stick with it and not give up. And then my last point, number 10, just to have fun. I wrote, don't stress if everyone doesn't actually read the book, because a lot of times people won't. Sometimes we'll come to book club and only 1 or 2 people have read it. It's okay to come to book club if you haven't read it. I know a lot of people are like, well, I can't come to book club because I didn't read the book. Well, if you're worried about spoilers, that is a problem. Because if you haven't read it and you still come, that's awesome, but you will have to be prepared for spoilers. And it's okay if you read a book that lots of people don't like. One of my things is reading a book for book club that I absolutely love and adore, and then my friends end up not liking it. That's a hard one. It's happened several times. And there's times when somebody else's beloved book other people don't like so much. So you have to take that in stride, not get upset about it, and just have fun with the whole book club discussion. Another thing that we do just to make book club more fun is we don't limit our discussion to just the book that we're talking about for that month. Often, we don't do this every time, but almost every time, everyone takes a turn to share what they've been reading through the month besides the book club book and what they've loved. And that just, everybody's on their phones just adding to their Goodreads like crazy. And it's so much fun just to have a big discussion about books in general and what we're loving. So we've really enjoyed that aspect of book club also. So if you're starting one, I wish you good luck. If you're in one that needs a little bit of an injection of energy, then I hope this helps. And pretty sure that if you do all these things, you are going to have a great time and a great successful book club. Good luck with it. And until next time, happy reading. Bye.